you face the dark for what matters the most.
Let's see here. We're here to talk a little bit about the Ballad of Nod, and we're also here to talk about Worst Mayhem and Worst. Did I get it backwards?
Worst and Mayhem.
Worst and Mayhem. So everybody, this is Ryan Kroboth.
How are you guys doing?
And Ryan is an awesome creator friend of mine who has done covers for Damage Inc. and who did a killer cover for Nod. Let's see if I can bring it. I don't know how to bring it up. Let's see here. I'll bring it up in post.
And cue the overview.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Here it goes. Video file, image file.
Don't you love technology? Like you figure it out on the fly?
I love technology about as much as it loves me.
I mean, it can't be worse than the days when you do like a Facebook Live closing ceremonies, but then your internet would go out at your house and you'd have to like run down to like Starbucks.
Yeah, quickly. I think something like that happened multiple times on my first one. Every time I tried to do a video, something happened. God, goodness gracious. Let's see here. Let's see what happens. Here we go. I hit the button. Let's see what happens.
There we go.
There we go. All right, so everybody, this is going to be the alternate cover for the Ballad of Nod. Now, I noticed some things I was going to ask you about, Ryan. I'm not 100% sure if we talked about this before, but there's a lot more going on in this cover than I first noticed. Like, when I first got this image from you, I was like, oh, he's got a stylized version of Patches. He's looking all tough and scraggly. That works. He's got a tentacly demon, kind of like my tentacly demon. Okay, go good there. Nice bright red eyes. And then while I was doing like a teardown of what the cover was going to look like and doing like a little video the other day, I noticed you've got all of Faye's growth heights written on the side of the door.
Yeah.
And you've got all these nightmare-y pictures drawn along that she's pinned up onto the wall of the tentacle monster. And all kinds of stuff. It's like Faye's kind of talking through the cover.
Yeah, what was really fun about that is I actually took some of the promotional images that you gave me like early on of the monster and the bear and stuff like that. And I sent them to my nephews and one of my nieces. And I said, look at this monster and try to draw me like how you think that, you know, how you would draw the monster. So those are all actual kid arts from my family.
I didn't know that.
And then I drew them into the cover. Like I took their pictures that my sister sent me, and like, you know, they're basically stylized as me, but they're literally their art.
Dude, that's crazy. I did not know that. I remember you saying something about having help from your nieces and nephews, but I didn't realize that that's what you did.
Yeah,
that's
I thought it would be
crazy.
really fun. Have them involved. You can't
it's hard to
make kid art. It's like impossible.
Well, it's honest, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that like has to be a part of books when you're having kids. There has to be a certain honesty into them. Goonies works because every single person on the planet wants to be a Goonie. Everybody identifies with riding their bikes out on roads and getting lost in restaurants and finding pirate treasure. I mean, who hasn't done that?
Right?
I'm looking at this art and I made it all big so I could see it better. It's kind of crazy. Like they've got these doorways with tentacles going in every direction, and some of them are just really, really creepy. They a couple of them concentrated on the closet. It's kind of cool. I dig it a lot. I totally didn't notice that the first time, man. That impresses me so much that you've got little kid art inside of this cover that makes it even more cool.
I thought it was fun. I think
It
I might
was.
make copies for them.
Oh, we'll do that. This is going to be a special reward, though. I am going to limit how many that it can go out there, to try to keep it special and to number it. I figured I would like serialize it and to make sure that this is cover 1 of 100 or 1 of 50, and do that for that cover. I love this. It's got this like crazy Cartoon Network but messed up kind of vibe. Like, I don't know. I dig it a lot.
I
After I
had
noticed that some of
so
the
much
kids, I really
fun
wanted to
drawing
thank you.
that thing. It wasn't even funny. Like when you asked me, like I swear, like I that's one of the things where like the composition came to me like right away, and like the whole thing just flowed out. Like I couldn't ask for having like more fun. Like as I sit down and draw.
I'm having so much fun doing Nod. It's the same way. It's like the script was hard to get down to get the right voice out. I've got my sister Kira helping me make sure that the voice of the children sound like, the children. There's only one kid, so that Faye still sounds like a kid, and that Patches, sounds like this little gruff bear. But the drawing of it just comes so much easier than any other one I've done. It stays fun. Like sometimes when I'm doing an action book, like when I'm doing damage, sometimes I get some really complicated fight scene, and I love doing those, but it gets tedious after you spend a certain number of hours on the single page. So far, it hasn't been like that at all.
Doing all that stuff.
Yeah, man. But I absolutely love this, and now that I know that there's actual kid art on the cover, I'm even more excited.
What I really loved is like when I drew it, I didn't have the actual logo stuff yet. And when you sent it over last week and like actually seeing it, it almost looks like I had everything planned to go with the logo and stuff. Like it just lines up like perfectly.
That's when you have a solid composition.
Like I just love how the eyes are peeking out from behind the logo.
Yeah. But it fit in a way that makes sense, and it doesn't look like it was just thrown together, and that's one of the things that's great about it. I am not 100% sure if I'm going to keep the wording on the bottom that way, or it says "Waking Up Nightmare." I may be messing around with that just because it looks a little different than the rest of it. But I'm really happy with the way that it came out. I'm happy with the way the book is going, and I'm so excited that tomorrow's my release day for Kickstarter.
I've been following along for a while now, like seeing it come together, and every time you've sent me pages, I'm like so excited, and it's like one of those things where like I could read it, but I was like, part of me doesn't want to read it because you want to wait for the final thing. But then like, you start reading a little bit and you just can't stop. Like, oh man, the book is great. I can't wait to hold that thing in my hands. Like, and actually like, it's been a journey.
It has, because for a while when I got the book done earlier in the year, because I'm working on issue 2 now and I'm almost done with it. But when I got the book done early in the year, I was like, there's something missing. I'm not happy. And everybody kept telling me, no, it's really good the way it is. I was like, nope, something is missing. Something is missing. There's just something wrong. And then I ended up adding those pages where she's like saying goodbye to her dad and stuff. And it completely changed the way I felt about it, like entirely. And I really enjoyed how it felt afterwards. The book's got such an emotional punch. Everybody who I've had pre-read it has come back with like, you made me cry, I hate you, and I love this book so much at the same time. And it's really what I'm excited about is I'm getting back these really honest feedbacks about emotions, where people are loving it because of what it's doing inside of them. And with Damage, it was always, oh man, that was so funny, I loved it. Or, oh, that action was really good, I loved how he kicked that monster, or something like that. and those are great. But I wanted to affect people a little bit more than that, and I feel like Nod's headed in that direction and hitting the way it's supposed to. So I
Yeah,
really appreciate that.
I totally agree with everything you're saying. Like it does hit you in the feels, and it's so good. And I gotta say, like your art has like leveled up like so much just over the course of making the book. Like it's it's always a pleasure. Like and I think this is like some of your best stuff yet. I know it's gonna get better from here out too, but I mean like damn man, I'm like, oh
I appreciate that, Ryan. It's when you're stylized, you get really weird feedback when you begin, and because you're stylized too, dude. You know that if you can't, if you're not making stuff that looks like Jim Lee, you get some rough feedback. And hearing people compliment and let you know that it's developing is a pretty big deal, dude. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about what you got going on, because you're not sitting on your laurels. You and John have stuff cut, like you're hitting Kickstarter the same day I am.
yep. We planned it that way.
Yes, we totally didn't find that out 2 weeks ago on accident. Um, and the thing I like about your guys' book, which is Worse Than Mayhem, is it's got this. Look, everybody right now is trying to tie their stuff into D&D because D&D is like all over YouTube and whatnot. For those of us who have been gaming for decades, it's not really about that. It's about the fact that we love gaming. And when I got to sit down and do a cover for the first Worse Than Mayhem, which I thought was great and silly and fun in all the right ways, it has this buddy feeling, like a buddy cop kind of feel that's like rolling through D&D in like a traditional way. Like when you look at old Dragon magazines, you see artwork that's got a really similar style to what's going on in Worse Than Mayhem. But you guys have taken it up another notch. You've added in details that aren't super duper obvious at first. I love the border designs. I love the edges on the pages. There's all these little details that if you're a gamer, you notice, because those things are from the formats of like the old gaming books and from the old modules and stuff like that. So it's like cracking open this older stylized story that could have been written in a totally different way, but it's brought up with all this beautiful color and all this stuff that we couldn't do when we were kids in the early 90s and stuff like that. It's got so much fun built into it. I love it.
I appreciate that. That's very high praise. Yeah, like so John, he used to play D&D. He's 10 years older than I am. So you know, back then, like that was what people did in school and stuff like that. They'd hang out, they'd play D&D. So he has a lot of really fond memories. Now I've played D&D, but like only a little bit here and there, and I think it's a really fun game. And I think like what you were saying, like some of the comedy and like the back and forth and like you know how it feels like a buddy feels type thing. Like when John and I are writing the book, like a lot of the stuff is like we're just trying to make each other laugh. So like we'll come up with like really random stuff and basically we don't say no to anything. So like it's like, okay, well, how do we do that? And then we figure it out. So it becomes like a problem solving thing. We're like, okay, well, we have this really weird idea. How are we going to work this in? And it makes it's almost like a stream of thought. And I think why a lot of people who play like D&D, they say that that kind of resonates with like how campaigns go.
Yeah.
Because, like you could never like you have never any idea what's going to happen.
Absolutely. That you just described. Okay, when you're at a good table and the other people are there to enjoy themselves and nobody's taking themselves too seriously, which are the campaigns that last forever, you just described what it's like sitting at those tables where you guys have a problem. All right, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this? It's not just some guy screaming the words fireball and another guy, you know, screaming out that he's going to run in and stab it. It does happen, but when you're having fun, it's way more like like a tennis game of the back and forth between the guys that are just trying to enjoy themselves and make each other laugh. That's also a huge part of gaming, is trying to make each other laugh. Like, I think the longest campaign we ever played was in a system called Hackmaster, and a huge part of that game is making each other laugh with the crap that goes on. Nobody behaves themselves. Everybody is a dork when it comes to playing that game.
It'd be boring otherwise, right?
Exactly. Who wants to who wants to hear about some stuffed up elf going on a world quest for the 90th million time for the apocalypse? That is nowhere near as fun as two buddies being cursed in an ice cream parlor, or in this case a bar, or whatever randomness that's going on. It's always more fun when you've got some random element where the two buddies got into trouble, and that's what I love about Merth and Mayhem, is it doesn't let go of the fun. Even when it's in a serious moment, there are still some elements where it finds a way to get funny.
Thank you. No, that's like exactly what we're doing it for. Like, we love making people laugh. Like, we talk online and we've done podcasts and stuff together, and like, that's just how John and I are in real life. Like, we're like that all the time. and like, that's the kind of stuff that we want to bring to people. Like, we want people to laugh, have a good time, escape from all whatever's going on in your life, just sit down and enjoy yourself.
Huge important part of comic books. Question for you, dude. So this is an issue 1. Which one are we on? We're on which one are we funding here through Kickstarter?
This is going to be Merth and Mayhem 3.
See, that's awesome. You guys are already on the 3rd. And the pace that you guys are putting them out is actually really solid as well. How many months ago was the first one?
It's been 1 year. So we last year we launched on Leap Year Day. And that's kind of going to be our thing. We're going to shoot for doing one on like as close to Leap Year Day as possible. And then the next one is going to be 6 months out from that. And awesome. We're going to try our hardest to maintain that schedule. Like, John's a beast, man. He churns these pages out. And early on, I said, like, I wanted to keep like a coloring style that was very simple and didn't take a lot of time. Like, when I color for Crossover Division, a page or two might take me like 3 days, right? Like, because I'm trying to reference like Photolite and all kinds of other stuff. And I'm like, John, like, I want this to be fun. I want this to be like, I hate Fairyland, but I want it to not take me forever. So it's very colorful, and like a lot of times, like when I do the rendering, like it's not realistic at all. Like, if somebody's on the left of the panel, they're shadowed on the side. That would be like, so like it almost makes it like you are always the camera, and it doesn't make any sense. But when you I feel like it kind of brings you into the story a little bit more. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. Lighting is kind of overlooked. Like, okay, I don't make a secret about the fact that I'm colorblind, and that I don't usually do color. I try to stick to black and white because I have an understanding of that value. But it's important to me to have backgrounds. It's important to me to have the world that you're in be a character, or a presence, or a part of it. And that is in the presentation in a lot of different ways. You take Mike Mignola, for example. His stuff is overwhelmingly simple, but he absolutely had control of the world that Hellboy is in.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like how you and I do our backgrounds, they're kind of, there's some similarity there with Mike Mignola for you, where you've got an approach where you're trying to get the consistency and the values and the hues and the way things are displaying in the background. And consistency is the key to that. Whereas with mine, I tend to fill mine with all kinds of stuff. I kind of cram stuff in there sometimes. But the point is that it's there. There are things going on. And without those things going on, some comics now, like I was just at A1 Comics like 5 days ago, and I picked up a book for my daughter because she was really excited for this particular character. And when I picked it up, there wasn't a single background in the whole book, and this was a Marvel book.
Wow.
I was so insulted. I put it back. I did not buy it for her. And when she asked me if I bought the book for her, I was like, no, it was terrible. And because I was like, dude, this literally is just somebody drawing a stick figure over and over again. This is what it felt like.
Like I've seen the books like that where they're just like talking heads. It's just panels of close-up medium shots. For like, we all know medium close-ups are the easiest.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to make it more interesting with the lighting and with the backgrounds, and I try to incorporate that. The world of Nod in my book is supposed to be colorful and supposed to be a huge influence on what's going on. So I made sure it was. Whereas yours is keeping that disbelief when somebody picks it up, that suspension of disbelief that somebody needs to keep their head in that fantasy setting. And I think you did it great. You got right in with that consistency and that style, and it goes all the way through. It looks great. I love it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go and get this posted out a little bit later on. Everybody, the 28th is both the day for the Ballad of Nod and the day for Ryan and John to put out
Merth and Mayhem,
which is going to be awesome in terms of fun. Who's your bad guy in this one?
They are going to hell to confront the Demon King.
Wow,
we can't call it the Underdark, so they're just going to hell.
Can't call it the Underdark. Ooh, gotta love fighting the Demon King. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of darkness in both of these books. Mine's in the dream world, so yours is in a dark place with a Demon King. There's going to be a lot of fun on both of them. We'll go ahead and post up the addresses to both of the projects, and everybody who's able to take a look at it, please do.
Thank you.